Headmistress Grace Rattigan liked being the last person to leave Bridgeport National School in the evening. It was a peaceful time to catch up on her endless paperwork, when the last teacher had vacated the staff room and all the children, from the tiny ones to the 6th class, who considered themselves very grown up indeed at age 12, had gone. The cleaners had usually finished up by 4:30, although they'd been later leaving today as an explosion of yellow paint in senior infants had taken some time to eradicate. "It really is everywhere, Roberto," Grace had said to the head cleaner earlier as they both surveyed the corner of the classroom where an innocuous plastic bottle of paint, non-toxic, had been shaken and splashed joyfully at the walls by a 5-year-old called Jamie. "No problem, Mrs. Rattigan," said Roberto. "We clean so no yellow can be seen. Kids, they do these things." He smiled to show it was no trouble at all and only to be expected. Grace was so fond of Roberto. He worked 2 jobs, she knew, to keep his large Brazilian family, and yet he was unfailingly obliging and greeted all events with a smile. If only everyone in the school was the same. "Look at this mess. Jamie said he wanted his sunflower to be on the wall instead of on paper," Miss Brown, the senior infants teacher, had said crossly earlier when she'd shown the headmistress Jamie's rather larger than intended flower. "He certainly thinks big," Grace replied, gazing at the corner where yellow paint covered a sweep of window, a decent amount of the adjoining wall, and every crevice of a shelf of books and jigsaws. "Maybe he's going to be a famous artist, known for giant canvases." Grace was always full of hope for the children in her care. They were all precious beings with great talents and lovely characteristics, provided they were nurtured the right way. "Or he might be starting graffiti early," added Miss Brown, sounding knowing. Orla Brown was one of the youngest teachers in the school, and she could do with a lesson in childcare from Roberto, Grace couldn't help thinking. This was her first year as a teacher, and she was still on probation. In her interviews with Grace and the school board, she'd been the epitome of the smiling senior infants teacher in her floaty pink skirt and flowery blouse. In reality, she had a hard streak that Grace was growing to dislike intensely. Grace drew herself up to her full 5'7" and put on the sternly cool headmistress voice she found worked marvellously on certain people. "Orla, let's set our sights higher than that," she admonished. "If we tell Jamie he's going to be spray painting walls down by the train station in the future, that's as far as he'll aim. There are plenty in his family who'd expect to know more from him. But we won't be doing that here. No." She surveyed the yellowness. "He's an artist in the making. We have a huge responsibility for the children here, Orla. We must aim high for them, particularly when nobody at home will be. Do you understand?" It was not a question. It was a command. Chastened, Orla had said yes, she understood. But Grace wasn't so sure. There were people who had a gift for education, and there were those who didn't. If a teacher believed a 5-year-old boy was en route to a lifetime of nothing more than spray painting rude words on walls, then that teacher had no place in Bridgeport National School. As soon as she returned to her office, Grace found her big desk notebook, the one she kept under lock and key, and reluctantly added a note to Orla Brown's file. When she herself had been a junior infants teacher, over 27 years ago, Grace could recall looking at each one of those little faces as if they were the country's hope for the future. Happy and fulfilled adults, the best mothers and fathers ever, good-hearted people, even captains of industry and enthusiastic entrepreneurs. She had seen it all in them, and she still did. People who thought differently did not make the best teachers. Sitting at her desk with no noise apart from the ticking of the large clock on the wall, Grace's thoughts ran to the framed childish sunflowers halfway up her own stairs. Sunflowers were senior infants.